Joe Stedman again. So this is my next ASL primer. Where do I even start? Well, I was going to go right into the rally phase, but before I do, go over some simple concepts of ASL. I'm going to assume that if you want to learn ASL, you're going to have the starter kit or the basic rules, and you'll be able to figure out a lot of this on your own. Some of the basic concepts of the game that aren't too difficult. But I'm going to zoom in and show you some things that you'll need to know as I get into the different phases of the game. Alright, so here is a leader in the game. This is the Russian units. Here's a leader. Here's a squad. This would mean elite squad. The quality, remember I said it was up here in the front corner. The firepower would be 4. The range that they could fire would be 5 hexes away. And their morale is an 8. That's a pretty good morale. And here's a crew-served weapon. Now, these weapons, like this medium machine gun, you attach them to a crew, or it has to be at least a half squad, but in this case I'll give it to this squad. Now this, you lay it on there like this. Now, this weapon here has a firepower of 4 and let me zoom in there. You attach it like this. Now this machine gun, this medium machine gun, has a firepower of 4 and a range of 10. It takes 5 portage points to move it, and that's how heavy it is basically if you want to carry it around the battlefield. And it's got a rate of fire of 2 in this little box right here. And the rulebook will have little cheat sheets that explains everything on the counter. But what we need to know for the most part is that it gets a firepower of 4 and a range of 10. You can either fire with the inherent firepower, which would be a 4, or with the combined firepower, 4 and 4 would be an 8, or you could fire just with the machine gun, which would be a 4, and save this guy's inherent firepower, which is the squad's firepower bar itself, for a different target or for a different time. But I'll explain that more when we get into the actual firing combat. So that's how you attach it. And this is the leader. The leader could also be in this hex. He's a pretty good leader. He has a -2, which is a good thing in ASL to subtract. And I'll go more about that later. So we're going to talk about the rally phase. So to demonstrate this, we're going to pretend that this Russian squad is broken. So we flip them over. And normally when something's broken, it's going to have this DM on it. And I'll show you what that means. Alright, when a unit is broken for the first time, when he gets shot at, you put one of these DM markers on him. Desperation morale, which has a +4 modifier. You can see that +4. What that means is it's going to be harder for this guy to flip back to his active side or to his combat ready side. It's going to be 4 harder, because what we're going to have to do is you have to roll an 8 on 2 dice to get this guy to flip back over. But if this is on it, it's +4 to your die roll, so for all intents and purposes you have to roll 4 on 2 dice to flip him over. So right now he has to roll a 4 or less on 2 dice. But if he was in this building or in woods, he gets +1, or he gets -1 to the die roll, so it would really go up to a 5 or less. So if I rolled a 5 or less on 2 dice, he would flip. And then if you put a leader, let's say there's a leader in that stack. So now he's in the wood, or in the building, and he has a leader, which is a -2. The leader gets to add his -2. So this guy, in order to be rallied, he would have to roll an 8, but then he has +4, so he's down to a 4. Then he's got -2, which is a good thing, so he's back up to a 6. And then he's in the building, so he's up to a 7. So he would only need to roll 7 on 2 dice for him to flip. And let's say that, so you roll your 2 dice, he rolls a 7, so you get rid of this. You flip him back over, and he's ready to go back into battle. Now let's say that you rolled and you did not succeed in rolling a 7. Let's say you rolled an 8 or a 9. Well, in that case, what you would do is you just get to at the end of every rally phase, you get to remove the DM. So you remove the DM, and he stays like that until the next turn. And on the next turn, you need an 8. Then you get the building, so you need a 9. And then you get the -2 leader, 10 or 11. So really, the only number you could roll so he wouldn't fix would be a 12. So he'll come back to fight. Now also, if you notice on the back, this leader has a morale that's a 9. It's pretty high, but it's also a squared outline. See where this 8 is not a squared outline. In order to try to rally, you either have to have a square outline or be with a leader. So if this guy was like this by himself, he cannot even attempt to rally himself on the turn. Alright? He can't even attempt it. But if this leader was with him, he could. Or if it was a leader himself, because it's boxed, it means he can try to self-rally. So you have to be either boxed or with a leader to self-rally. And there's one exception, is that the person whose turn it is gets one self-rally attempt. So anywhere on the map, he can choose one unit and indicate that he's going to try his self-rally attempt with that unit. So you could still possibly do it. So let's say that this guy he wanted to try it on him. So he would need an 8 plus 4, so it goes down to a 4. He's not in the woods, there's no leader. And because there's no leader with him, it's also one more plus 1, which is bad. So now instead of needing a 4, he'll need a 3. So he'll need a 3 or less to rally. So his odds of rallying are very slim. But you'll find in some games you have to try that. It could be the difference or not if you win the scenario.